The YouTube thumbnail game is on, and I'm your host CGR back with another episode. Today, the topic is the YouTube thumbnail text, crafting the words that get clicked and designed. And since we are on a YouTube thumbnail game designed for click, the text is very important for click. Now, let's introduce the power of text in a visual medium. Like the thumbnail is generally a visual medium, and it's the main purpose of the thumbnail is to stop the scroll, as I have talked in the first few episodes. The point is to stop the scroll and then intrigue the viewer and then make a promise. And to complement that, there is a text on the thumbnail generally present. Is the text always present? No, the text is not always present. And should we always add text? In my experience, I don't think so. That we should always add text if it's necessary. Yes, you should add it. But the thing is that the work must be done. Like whether you add the text or do not add the text, if you are making the promise, that promise must be fulfilled. It's just like the way you present yourself, the way you conduct yourself. Let's say this class, maybe it's complimentary, or it's adding something to my look. Maybe the clothes I wear, it is either the same or it is a compliment, but overall it should do the thing. It should, if I'm what I want to present to the world, it must improve my appearance or whatever I'm trying to target or whatever I'm trying to express through my views and my clothes and my classes. The overall, that thing must be delivered. Whether I wear colorful clothes or whether I wear dark clothes, whatever the thing is that I want to deliver, that must be delivered. That is what I feel. For example, let's say I'm very smiley and I smile a lot, and I generally have a jolly personality in real life. So if I wear dark clothes, that I am kind of feeling it, it cuts down on the jolly and presents a more mature look. So that kind of complements it and give it to the overall personality. But if I wear very bright and colorful clothes, it just makes me more approachable theoretically, but overall the personality, I earlier I used to wear bright clothes, but now I feel that it's dark clothes are much more appealing and it complements and overall makes me more charismatic. It's like the balance is made and the line between, if you will, the chaos and the order, that's it comes down to perfection, especially the black, kind of feel that mysterious look. So it's the same for the thumbnail. It's always the same in the psychology and the marketing. It's all it all directs. It just giving the context and bringing it all together to see the thing, how it's working. So yeah, the thumbnail either should, what's already happening in the thumbnail, it should exaggerate it even a bit and convince the viewers much more, or it must complement it in some way. It should show something and then ask whether it has this happened. If you see Mr. Beast's thumbnail, I have not analyzed his thumbnail. I will, I hope sometime very soon. The guy from the channel makers, he took all the thumbnails, ranked them and processed all of them and tagged them, bookmarked them and gave them many categories and wrote if it has text, doesn't has text. It's like 60-40. It does have text, sometimes it does not have text. The ratio was around 60-40. I don't remember precisely, but it was like half of those have text, half of those doesn't have text. Like, it's better to, if you are able to tell the story without text, because people at the end do not want to read. I think when a person is scrolling, he's not reading every title, it's just seeing every thumbnail. That thumbnail, like I have said already, like that's what I feel. Thumbnail is the first thing that a person will see. Thumbnail is the first thing that a person will see about your video. That thumbnail is your first impression. That is the thumbnail. And you do have to manage that. And to add a text there, it's generally it does add something, because like there is a space, and if you have already stopped something, the thumbnail text is the first that's one read. So it should be very careful how to decide and how to go about it. But then so function of text in a thumbnail, overview of why text is used and the role of conveying the video's message quickly. Yes, that's the second point of today's role of thumbnail in conveying. Like, it gives more context. Once the scroll is stopped, once the viewer is feeling enticed, and then the person will read the thumbnail and the text of the thumbnail text, and then he will be more enticed maybe to click the video and watch it. So that's important. Balancing text and imagery, how to strike the right balance between visual elements and the text to avoid clutter. Yes, first of all, the elements in the thumbnail must not be too much, because more complicated, people are not there to like describe your video or to decrypt what it's trying to convey. It should be very simple, and it should directly convey. It should be like, when I see a thumbnail, I must understand what it's trying to say. So if there are too many elements, if everything adds it all together and everything is like, this is happening, and if the arrow is pointing from this to here, like before someone is like this, an arrow pointed this, before, after, maybe the text is needed, or many times the text is not needed. But if there are too many elements, that just disrupts the whole thumbnail, the whole message. If there is too much, if you tell too many points, it just neglects importance of any one point at all. If I'm saying too much about anything, like if I say a very good sentence and I keep going on about it, then it is, I hope, doing that right now, but it just neglects the whole point of the thing. Choosing the right words. It must be impactful and concise wording that resonates with the target audience. Most of the time, not always, most of the time, it should be as concise as possible using simple language. As concise as possible using simple language. There is always a thing in copywriting that you can always minimize the number of words. Like, you'll always minimize number of the way you are describing a thing or the scenario. So minimizing is really important. Like, writing the same thing in lesser and more simpler words is very important. I always use ChatGPT to help me. Like, it doesn't give me the right text to always be there, but when I guide it enough and when I ask it for 20-40 options to give me, and then I read all of them, so I am able to choose and make better text combinations that will inevitably work better. Font selection. Yes, font selection, as in design, it's always really important to, like, it's the audience. If it's a child, you use curvy letters. If it's more adults and more fashion related, like basic design things, we do have to use more sans serif fonts. No, serif fonts for old and fashion. And if there is a balance, and if you want to convey maybe modernism, then you do use sans serif fonts. And there are more even fonts that are used, like decorative fonts. Those are also good. Like you have to, like, you know, the context of what is trying to show, what is the matter there. Like all of that depends. In general, if you do not have any idea, just use sans serif. That works most of the time. Color and contrast in the text. Yes, the color and the contrast, the most basic colors are white, black, red, and yellow. White and yellow are the most used, I think, and then the red comes. And you do have to use shadows and boxes to make sure that is clearly readable. And the text must also be big and placement. Yes, and contrast, there must be always contrast, whether it's your images. If there is subject, it must be like, if you blur the background and you lower the brightness a bit, so it gives some. But if you do create more contrast that is not present in the natural environments, sometimes I feel that it's gonna disrupt the thing, because it will not look very natural if you are targeting to look something natural. But yeah, contrast must also be there. And then the text size. Keep it as big as possible until unless it's not destroying the design. And placement, the best place is left, of course, because we are, in general, in English, we are reading from left to right. So if you write from right, it doesn't make much sense. And below is also good, but sometimes it covers the timestamps are covers the text on the thumbnail, so that causes problems. But if your text is big enough, then that won't be a problem. Timestamps are not problem. Also, there are many websites where you can go and check if the timestamp is causing an issue. Like, it's a thumbs up standard, the ultimate tool to get clicks on YouTube. I think there are many websites. One of it is thumbsup.tv. That is a really good website that I often use to see if my text placement is being covered by the timestamp or not. Yeah, capitalization and emphasis. Like, it's basic marketing and copywriting stuff. You have to, like, sometimes capitalization works, sometimes like capitalizing the whole words work. Sometimes just you have to understand, like, all of the advices and all of everything just comes down to very few things. Like, you have to understand what you're doing, and you must deliver the promise in best way possible. Other than that, tactics and those things are very small percentage of it. You must understand the audience, what you're trying to convey. And yes, marketing, you do have to understand how psychology works so that you can deliver the message in much more efficiently. And those things. Avoid common mistakes. Text related pitfalls. First of all, like, this is very basic. Never make a grammar mistake or spelling mistakes, especially grammar mistakes like that. In copywriting, the normal English grammar doesn't actually count. But yeah, avoid using complex words. Like, complex words almost never works. Try to find a synonym that's more simpler, and ask ChatGPT what is more known to my audience, what audience will relate more. Maybe you may feel that a word is known by everyone. Like, whatever you know, you think everyone knows that, but it is not true. Expert blindness, that's called. If you are an expert at a thing, you will not feel that everyone else is blind to, like, you are blind to fact that everyone else doesn't know the thing. So yeah, do that. A/B testing with text variations. Like, okay, so no one is like the god expert at knowing everything. Like the market is like, there are no groundbreaking things. There is always like things, people test things and some things work, something doesn't work, and people keep experimenting. Even the ones who have millions of subscribers, if you see Mr. Beast stocks, he says he tests a lot. If on Diary of a CEO, they test around 30 to 50 thumbnail per video with different variations of the text, different variations of people's expressions, the placement, etc. Like they are doing, like they have millions of subscribers. That guy Steven Bartlett of Daddy of a CEO host, he has been doing marketing for like 20-30 years, and that guy tests 30 to 50 thumbnails. I mean, come on, like testing is the thing, because you never know what all people are gonna respond, what most people are gonna respond to. You are inclined towards something, but yes, you do keep the element of you and what you want to produce, but you have to understand the psychology of the masses. And like, you are not an expert, that's the thing. I am not an expert, you are not an expert, no one is an expert. What an expert does is they experiment and they learn very fast, they adapt to various situations, and they have much more means of succeeding, etc. So yeah, test a lot. Incorporating how to test, by the way. So manual testing is the one available right now. There are many online free thumbnail testings, that A/B test that you can do, but if you do have to do manual test, there is a way that I found a guy had written on Reddit. Like it was very obvious after I read it, but until I had read it, I was not able to figure it out somehow. Like it's just that you change your thumbnails periodically and then see the graph of the CTR, how it's performing. Like CTR has actually a graph, and you can go and change the thumbnail, but it's quite tiresome. I hope YouTube brings the A/B testing very soon. Incorporating keywords, aligning thumbnail with SEO strategies to improve discoverability. Incorporating keywords, like if you are targeting something, like it's always the same. If you are targeting something, include that in your thumbnail title, include that in description, include that in tags, also include that in your YouTube thumbnail text. Simple. Like if people are searching for it, like if I'm searching for, let's say, simple metal bottles, let's say that's I'm searching for. So I'm scrolling through, I search for the best metal bottles available on Flipkart for India. So if I'm going to search, if a thumbnail text has written big best metal bottles, and that title is best metal bottles available on Flipkart, for example. So then I'm going to click other thumbnails. So yeah, incorporate role of branding. Yes, branding is quite very important because it helps you stand out of the crowd. Like if 10 people are making the same thumbnail, but if your colors are like, if there is a consistent branding, I will feel more inclined to see. If I have seen your videos and if I like them, and next time when I'm scrolling, so you have to take advantage of the leverage you have already created. So if I see your branding, I'm more inclined to click on your thumbnail again, other than you again fighting the whole battle of, doing all the work and like enticing people, promising people. Like if you have, over time, that's the thing, it's builds on a lot. It builds on, if you use branding, it builds your leverage and gives you more power in your hands. Like if I'm gonna see you in the thumbnail, I'm more enticed to click if I am interested at that point of time in the videos I'm gonna watch. So I'm more inclined to click on your videos. Like there have been many times, like I have watched someone videos previously on some other topic, and now I'm clicking on another topic. I don't know that person makes video on that topic, but I see his thumbnail, his branding, his fonts that he used, and his face. Then I clicked on his video other than the ones that were present. He has already given me value previously. Now he has a leverage over it, and he convinced me to the click, and he earned the money, etc. So yeah, that counts. That's the role of the great branding. Yes, the psychology behind text choice, how different words can trigger specific viewers' emotions and actions. You always have to trigger people and make them take the decision of clicking on your thumbnails. Like that's very obvious. But this is where maybe inspiration, when you are going through many successful thumbnails and seeing them, this is where that works comes in. Like analyzing successful thumbnails, you break down examples of effective thumbnail text in various niches, like the words that they are using, that has worked with the audience, like the words they are using. There is always a pattern that the words good YouTube thumbnail text using in that particular niche. So if you are able to, see the pattern and do the thing and take inspiration from those videos, that is very important. Not just inspiration for what people are showing, but also inspiration for what text people are using. Like try to understand what that text is trying to convey and what type of words it's using. If you see the pattern, like I always see how simple words they use, like just saying the thing and simply just putting the thing. But in a few percentage of situations, like even longer text have worked, like in niches, celebrity niches, for example. I've seen many times 2-line letter, like 2 to 3 like long phases of what a person spoke, like quoting it directly in your thumbnail while having its visibility sometimes does convert to a lot of views. But then again, your images in the thumbnail and what you're showing, the design must convince the stop first, and then your text is able to convince the click. You have to stop the scroll and then convince the click. So yeah, that's something psychology behind text choices, how different words trigger different. Numbers and symbols. Like numbers always perform well because people like to have something definite around things. Like there is so many vague, the best is, that's so vague. Like 5 steps to getting more CTR, that's more convincing than get more CTR. Like there is a definite step that you need to take to get the CTR. That sounds much better. Symbols like emojis, I haven't seen or used that much to effectively say that it works. Maybe it has worked sometimes, maybe it has not worked sometimes, but I had used a few times and I don't think it worked well most of the time. And clients also do not like emojis per se, but symbols like exclamation marks and question marks, like those two are of course always used. Quotations, those are really important. Like many people use quotations all the way, even if their thing is not inside of quotations. And it does work also many times. Yeah. Quotations are really cool. Exclamations marks are cool. Question marks is cool if you have watched the movies. Like was an actual movie around the life of Sidhu or some famous actor. So yeah, like very important part of the movie was like the question mark. Crafting clear call to action, encouraging clicks to compelling call to action within your thumbnail text. Like whatever you're promising in a thumbnail, let's say if you are making a celebrity thumbnail and you are covering, let's say, Michael Jackson's death and how he died. So if there is a question mark, you do entice people to like know the real truth or something like that. So it does entice a call to action, like come and know what the real truth was. Trend in thumbnail text. What trend I have seen in thumbnail text? I think it has remained almost the same for past few years. Although, like, the standard of everything is rising as more people are getting into it and it's getting more cluttered, etc. Standard of things are rising. People are creating much better thumbnails to stand out and using much powerful words and doing the copywriting stuff really, really well and using more powerful words, etc. Personal experience sharing, anecdote about what text strategies have worked or not worked for your example. See the trend, inspiration, put it all in the chat GPT and ask it for 20 options and then find a few words that you like and that are very, very simple. Ask it to make simple thumbnail text and then make a few choices. Always do this thing. Make few images, make few generations from Midjourney or whatever you use. Because iteration will negate luck. If you are doing it enough time, one of it will be good. And same goes for thumbnail. Like use simple words that people will resonate with. Simple words, and powerful words. Ask ChatGPT to write simple and powerful words. Take a lot of examples and then see what fits that scenario. Give it the whole script maybe to fit those and describe it the visual elements in your thumbnail to give it as much context as possible, and then it does generate a lot of things. Now, of course, experimenting, as I said, is very important, and feedback is such important. Like brute force is so good, like so important. If you produce 100 videos, they will you will get good at the craft, but feedback matters. Like if you have to iterate with 0.1% at least, being better every single time. So feedback, how you are doing the work, is important. I feel that like if there is no feedback, if no one just accepts everything that you do, and we need to improve so much. There is so much room for improvement, so that counts really much. Conclusion. So text, last but not the least. Do the work. Try to understand what the video is trying to convey. Take inspiration around those topics and videos and ask it all from the chat GPT, and then something great always comes out. And in many niches, text alone can, especially in the motivational niche, text is the game. Text is the one that convinces. Like in many niches, there is just the game of the text, what you write. inspiration, motivational, even the many times celebrity, clickbait, police scam niches. In those especially, in many niches that, like, even though the visuals mattered a lot, it's text many times is so powerful. I've seen like their channels built completely on text, and they just take a snap of the person. Like, they could be improved by improving the snaps that they are taking, but the text is so powerful. And so the text is very, very important part of the YouTube thumbnail game, and I will write better text. I will try to improve, and you do too. So we'll see you on another episode. YouTube thumbnail game is on, brought to you by CGR Designs. Thank you.